Yuta Okotsu, I apologize, I was not familiar with your game. It has come to my attention that despite giving Okotsu his due diligence, this man actually deserves more glaze because he alone is seriously carrying right now. Folks might want to doubt it, haters might want to yap about it, however my brother Okotsu is carrying Jujutsu on his shoulders. And my brothers and sisters, it has happened. Gojo Satoru has returned. Yes, now his presence has returned to the series, but it's not quite like you or me probably imagined. We were theory crafting like crazy. Well friends, it looks like Yuta Okotsu has made the ultimate sacrifice, and in exchange for his life and future, Yuta has used Kenjaku's stolen curse technique and he manifested into Gojo Satoru's body. Essentially, Yuta has just become the modern era's strongest monster. This was hands down the craziest Jujutsu Kaisen chapter of all time. This is actual insanity. In fact, at the very start of the chapter, Yuji is locked in. Him and Todo cornered Sukuna, and Yuji is about to rip his heart out. However, when Sukuna was casting domain expansion and noticed Gojo's presence, he was awestruck with disbelief because what essentially stood before him was impossible. But once he caught on, everything else was just an afterthought. Yuji is thrown aside because frankly, this is just bigger than him. It's Jujutsu Kaisen now. Sukuna himself apologizes that he was not familiar with Okotsu's game. Even he did not think Yuta had it in him. However, now Yuta has reached a level of new power. In the flashback of the chapter, these segments actually hold the most weight because of how it touches on the depth of Gojo's character and the morality of the sorcerers. See, Yuta talks it over with all of his classmates, and he thinks that it's best if they run out of options, then Yuta will have Rika eat Kenjaku, then with Kenjaku's curse technique, he will manifest in Gojo's body so the sorcerers can win or have a better chance of winning. Yuta can copy the limitless curse technique, however a user would need the 6 eyes in order to even use the curse technique, and it's impossible to copy the 6 eyes because they are a physical trait that's retained on the user's body. Though the real problem is how Yuta and Rika's curse technique will work during those 5 minutes that Yuta is able to use it, and Meimei provides at least 3 options. Option 1, if Kenjaku's curse technique requires constant activation, then he cannot maintain the body or the soul and he would die. Option 2, if the curse technique is intermittent, then he won't die immediately, however he will eventually die later on. Option 3, if the curse technique is single use, then even after the 5 minutes have passed, then he can use the limitless in Gojo's body. Once transferring bodies, Yuta's curse technique might disappear and he will forever live in Gojo's body. If you think about it, this is a technique within a curse technique. So that's why this is all so complicated, because this is a huge risk just to see the limits of what the body swap can do and what the mimicry curse technique can do. However, this actually means that Yuta was holding back Rika's full transformation, since in domain expansion, Yuta can use the copy curse technique even without a fully manifested Rika. So first he wanted to fight Sukuna in his own domain, then he will take Gojo's body in the event that they were to lose, like what's happening right now. What I appreciate here is how determined Yuta is to sacrifice his life and his future, yet Maki and everyone does not want to lose him. This plan itself is just not natural, it's actually inhumane. But that should not matter to Okotsu because we are fighting Sukuna, the strongest sorcerer in history. If they can become monsters and win, then they should do it. It's especially clear Maki cares a lot, as Yuta is important to all of them, but I feel that was definitely Maki's way of saying that she does not want to lose Yuta. And that's actually rather heartbreaking. Yuta argues that Gojo was also important, yet everyone was alright leaving him alone to become a monster for their sakes. So if Gojo sensei is gone, then the monster has to be someone else. If no one else will, then I will become one. And that is one of the hardest lines that Yuta has ever said. And it's very powerful that he let them all know that. This actually reminds me of Hakari's conversation with Uraume, because the modern sorcerers are worried that their power will destroy what they see before them and sever their humanity, so they set themselves back. Their own fear of loneliness is their weakness. Akari is different in that way because he runs wild with his jujutsu despite his own inhumanity. But Yuta actually inspired him because, like he said, when it comes down to it, Yuta comes through when it counts, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. We actually get even more context in a flashback involving Gojo and the students before Gojo actually kills the higher-ups. Gojo hears about the plan and he really does not intend to lose in the first place, but he does not care what happens to his corpse afterward, which is kind of fitting for Gojo. However, it's irritating to Gojo that Shoko was just okay with everything given that they are pretty good friends. Yuta tells Gojo about how Uro said that he was a Fujiwara, yet Gojo say that they are from the Sugawara bloodline, though it's still the case that Gojo and Yuta are indeed distant relatives from Sugawara no Michizane. And just to give a bit of lore, it was because of the imperial Fujiwara clan that Michizane was exiled and turned into a vengeful spirit. So those two families are on some pretty bad terms. The Fujiwara were a powerful clan given that they led Heian era top tier sorcerers, yet there were tons of infighting in that family and tons of corruption. So more likely than not, it's a pretty crooked clan. It's been mentioned before that Uro just mistakes Yuta for Fujiwara since she was jealous of their talent and prestige. However, it's possible Yuta could actually be both Fujiwara and Sugawara. That means Yuta's bloodline is even more blessed than Gojo's, so Gojo encourages Yuta to keep getting stronger and work on his immensely rough cursed energy pool. Gojo tells everyone to leave, not as sorcerers, but he does not want his students to see a bloody scene when Gojo himself doesn't even know if what he's doing is right or not. But if Gojo does lose, and if the higher-ups are gone, then at least Gakuganji will be left to set things right in the Jujutsu world. Because despite what Gakuganji has done in the past, he is a man that Gojo trusts, and he is a decent person who would make the society better. Of course, Gojo's students do not listen to him, and they stay with their teacher, and their reasoning is pretty deep. They don't want to leave Gojo all alone as the monster. However, it's impossible. Ever since that time, I was left behind. I need to catch up. And that is tragic. It is so incredibly sad that Gojo thinks this way. However, that is Gojo's path that the strong must bear alone. And even considering Gojo himself wants to nurture strong and intelligent allies because no one else will be left alone again, just like he was. But it's interesting that even after all of this time, he's still chasing after Geto. It's almost like Gojo has to prove himself that the path that he chose was the right one. Next, we see how Yuta is able to transfer to Gojo, and with Amai's help, he's able to process sugar with his curse technique and inject it into people, and the brain uses glucose as an energy source. So either for Yuta or for Shoko for expanding their reverse curse technique, Amai will support them. And Arata Nita is also there with his curse technique to make sure that no further damage occurs within the body. However, it's not the same as healing. Yuta has been cut apart by the World Slash, just like Gojo was, and this injury is beyond the limits of reverse curse technique or any other curse technique, but somehow Yuta is able to keep himself awake because of Rika. However, it seems like his body is dying. Shoko managed to stitch Gojo's body back together, and now when Yuta activates body hopping and switches brains, he will have to activate reverse curse technique at maximum output in order to get the body ready with Amai's support. But ultimately, it worked out, and Yuta has been awakened in Gojo's body. And the first thing Gojo and Sukuna do is run back a domain expansion battle. However, Gojo had already devised a barrier technique solution versus Sukuna's open domain expansion. And this is now round 6 of Malevolent Shrine versus Unlimited Void, the revenge match that will change everything. My brothers and sisters, this is pure insanity, because even now we'd have to consider the state of these two fighters. And on paper, it's not really looking too good for Sukuna. But that being said, this means it would really take the combined effort of 20 plus sorcerers and a full Gojo revival to defeat Sukuna. Like, he really is top 1, he's the strongest. But for however long Yuta could keep this up, Yuta can actually kill Sukuna. Think about this, Sukuna at this point in time has nerfed reverse curse technique output. Nerfed cursed energy output. A nerfed cursed energy pool. He has been shot, he has been stabbed, beaten, his heart was literally about to get ripped out of his chest. 2 of his arms are gone. His lower right arm is not fit for fighting right now, and because he's missing the set of his left hands, he cannot perform the Enma-ten hand seal, meaning no world slash. Then to top it off, his own domain expansion should be incomplete right now and at best last 99 seconds. So consider all those debuffs versus Yuta's Frankenstein version of Gojo. Yuta has Gojo's entire full kit of his curse technique, 6 eyes plus limitless. He's good enough to perform domain expansion again, meaning its brain is healed properly, and Yuta is skilled enough to use Gojo's dense domain strategy, which by the way lasted 3 minutes and 9 seconds, in order to beat Sukuna inside of the barrier and withstand the slashes from the outside. Even if Yuta had just 5 minutes, Sukuna really would not even last 2 minutes in his current condition. And there's a possibility Sukuna may be able to break the domain expansion from the inside with an attack, but that's really assuming Gojo's small domain parameters worked like he switched the inside and outside conditions. For the smaller condensed domain, the binding vow might not even apply the same way because the barrier shell is already condensed, so it could be strong on the inside and the outside because of Gojo's prison realm experience. Even then, is Sukuna in any condition to face Gojo with basically only one good arm? He still can't touch Gojo without domain amplification, and his cursed energy output is on the decline. So it's hard to say what he's going to be able to do to Gojo as their curse techniques cancel out. But really, it depends on Yuta, because I'm certain the real Gojo would absolutely smoke this nerf Sukuna, but Yuta might be a different case, as strange as it seems. If Yuta could use Riko, or if he retained his copy curse technique, then he would have been broken beyond broken, because at this point he would have over 9 curse techniques. However, even that would probably be too much. That's why Gege had to set the standard for the limits of Kenjaku's curse technique and how the copy curse technique works, because now it's put into question if he would lose his curse technique altogether or even die after the curse technique has run its course. Yuta isn't quite like Kenjaku, because Kenjaku had special loopholes in order to retain his old curse techniques from previous bodies, and with Yuta it's like he's creating a scenario where even he does not know the outcome, so all we can hope for is that this works out for him for however long we have with him. Well, my brothers and sisters, chapter 261 of Jujutsu Kaisen was a phenomenal development and leaves us with a ton of talking points and info moving forward into the series, so please share what you brothers and sisters felt about it below. You may even just see your thoughts and theories in the next JJK discussion. But during this break week, I'll definitely make a video tackling all of these ass-pull allegations and bad writing claims, because as crazy as this chapter was, this situation feels like the best JJK has been, and I hope Gege keeps it up. But with that being said, you brothers and sisters take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.